Welcome to SolarWinds TechPod. I'm your host, Chrystal Taylor, joined by my co-host, Sean Sebring. And today is TechPod's 100th episode. So we are going to do a little something different today, and we're going to not necessarily talk about technology, but rather we're going to talk about the history a little bit about SolarWinds TechPod and what it takes to put this thing together for you guys every month. So, Sean, let's kick things off with talking about do we want to start with what you call the curse, the host curse?
Yes, we can start. There has been a hex put on since they brought me to TechPod several episodes ago. For those who have been listening for some time may remember, this started with me shortly joined after by Chris Bowie. Wonderful, super great to work with. But then, as the curse would show, working with me means you have to go. So shortly after that, someone we had as a guest together, Ashley Adams, joined us. And again, it's so wonderful to work with. I loved the dynamic. And then once again, you had to go. So if this is ringing of any, curse vibes, Chrystal survived the curse. She's got it. She's got what it takes. The pink hair of warding, one might say.
The pink hair of warding. I like that. I'm going to keep that. It's funny too, because literally last night my son was attributing aspects to his clothes. He has a hat that he said has +1 to charisma, and he was doing the same thing last night
with some jewelry. I'm like, what is I need. So the problem is I don't have a scroll of identification, so I'm just wearing this thing like, God, I hope it's got good stats. I've had it for so long.
Well, I would say the host curse is actually not your fault. And the reason for that is there have been a lot of hosts for TechPod over the years. There were in the beginning, there was a host named Alex Navarro who I never met. So I'm not really sure, where they went or what they were up to. But original host Alex Navarro had some amazing guests on, did some amazing work. And then we're not part of it anymore. So then we wound up with a lot of I would say temporary hosts, of which I was one.
Yeah.
Where people kind of cycled in and out, and you would do like an episode, and it was quite fun to do, as we know, because I came back to do it for real all the time. So clearly I enjoyed myself. But I think that there's been a lot of people, head geeks and evangelists and community people and all kinds of stuff coming in from time to time to do interviews for TechPod, and there wasn't really a host. And then you became permanent host, and we
Yes.
ran into the curse, as you call
Yes.
it. Your curse, your specific curse. But
It's funny. Yeah, it's funny just to. I can't remember. I think it was 2022 when I started hosting. So it had been 3 years in, and we're at about 3 years now. Let's just say halfway through, approximately, so to speak. Maybe, I don't know. I'm making stuff up, but halfway through, and some of the guests are some former Solarians that I would love to bring back as guests. Right? They haven't left the industry, so to speak, and they're just so much fun to work with. And so seeing it is from temp hosts, and some of our regular guests who are still Solarians that still just come back. It's honestly one of my favorite parts about being part of SolarWinds is the ability to work with such fun people and honestly just goof off around tech. So it's fun for me. It's fun.
Well, and for anyone at home that thinks that we don't get anything out of this, I'll tell you that's not true. Sean and I super enjoy doing this, and I think that it must be. I hope that it is equally as fun to listen to us talk to people and interview and learn as we're doing these things as it is for us to do it, because sometimes there are specific episodes that come to mind where we really get super into it. We're having a very good time. The episode we did with Doug Bennett comes to mind, of where he was just blowing our minds while we were talking to him. And I think that that is what makes it great fun for us to do, of we're getting to learn things or think about things from different perspectives. We share our insights as well, but I think that for me, it's just as exciting getting to talk to someone and like pick their brain about like how they think something works. Because if anything else, all of these various guests that we've had and all of the topics that we've covered, and we'll get into that a little bit in a second, but like all of the things that we've been able to do over the time just shows how everyone thinks about technology differently. Like the way that you use it is different, the way that it's been explained to you might be different, the way that you understand how it works might be different. And so like that has always been like super interesting to me to kind of dig in and figure out like how people are doing things and why they do things the way they do.
I feel like I have imposter syndrome a lot of the time, which works really well in this because I get to, with pure ignorance, ask questions to some of these brilliant guests. And yeah, when you said the Doug Bennett episode, and for those who haven't listened, we were interviewing Doug Bennett, who is part of Amazon and works with the AI, and just the way he was able to explain some of the things to me. You know, we used to host our episodes on Orange Matter. My mind was blown. There was brain matter everywhere in the recording studio. I swear, it was. I was just jaw dropped. It was so much fun,
It was.
and the connections it made, the things I learned because I'd never thought of it that way. So the different perspectives you brought up, Chrystal, I think is one of my favorite parts about it as well. We just think differently.
Yeah, well, that's I mean, that's humans for you. We think differently, and I think that's one of the like it's just super fun to try and understand. Like we've had some cool guests, even not outside of SolarWinds. Like Doug is an outside of SolarWinds, but even SolarWinds guests. Like I always enjoy listening to Tim Brown talk. I haven't gotten to interview him myself, but like every episode he's been on, I've listened to because he's such a nice guy. And B, he's very, like I think I said this before that he has, like, a professorly air to him, like, I
Yeah.
just wanna listen to what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing. He's been in the industry for a long time. He's worked in security for a really long time, and he has such a nice way of, like, explaining things to you where, A, you don't feel like you've missed something and, like, you're dumb because you didn't pick up on something, but B, like, it's really just relatable in, understanding, and every episode that he has been on, I have listened to, so I am also a fan of our show even whenever I'm not on it before I was hosting with you, so, I think that that's really fun to, like, just dig in and, like, hear what people have to talk about. We get to talk to so many people in different industries and, like, different walks of life and what they're doing and how they're using technology, and, thanks audience for allowing us to do that because without you, we wouldn't be able to make this show. So thank you for allowing us to do that because genuinely it's very fun for me.
Yeah, you brought up Tim Brown, and so I love watching the show evolve over the years. At least since I've been doing it as well. And we don't always and haven't always done video, but when we did the Tim Brown episode, and I want to say October of 23, it was somewhere around there. We did it in studio, and it was I think it was just myself and Tim for that episode, but it really kind of moved us towards the video episodes, right? We did TechPod podcasts, but we did them with video. We really started saying video almost every time if we can. And what I think is a funny one for those avid listeners, obviously, if you don't listen as regularly, this won't be as fun for you, is how many times has my background changed?
Oh, many.
Crystal, you've had like two, this room and your office, but I have had so many different, and just in this house that I'm in now, I've
Yeah.
had three. So it makes me think like, oh, it's just kind of fun to watch the scenery change, literally. But it's fun to have the videos on too now. So like that was just another step in the evolution of us, trying to do more with the podcast episodes, which also means, and this is a wonderful segue, the more effort that's put in by our production team.
Yes, and to tell before we talk about our current production team who are amazing, I do want to do a nod back to the producer who made this whole thing start, which was Renee Lego, and she is on to bigger and better things and other podcasts and producing other things out in the world, making great art and technology, and I think that that's fabulous. She really pushed for TechPod to be great, as well as some of our other initiatives, like she used to work on Thwat Camp and, like, other things like that, and, really pushing everyone to put their best foot forward, and she's the reason why TechPod exists. And she's also the reason why we've had some of the great guests that we had in the early years, especially is, her contacts and working in things and like making sure the right people are in the room and making sure the interview questions are there and all of that. And I feel like we've really learned from that, even if you never had any experience with it. I worked with her when she was producing the show still, and it was very different to how we do things now. So for a little bit of background information, Sean and I are very loosey goosey. We have a good time. We'll have interview questions ready, but we don't particularly script anything too much. We don't try to over prepare for it because we feel that takes away from some of the magic
Good
of the
content.
conversation. Yes,
Good
good
content.
content.
Organic, good content.
Yes. But previously everything was very like rigorous and scripted if you had been on the show before. Like it was very serious, down to like how many minutes we're going to take for this segment, how many minutes we're going to take for that segment, which is very hard for me. I'll tell
Yeah.
you.
Oh,
That's a
yeah.
challenge.
Couldn't do it without it being more loosey goosey, and that's again why it's so nice to work with Chrystal. Is also, so you guys know, if you couldn't tell, we trade hosting episodes. And fun fact for you guys, whoever's turn it is to do the hosting, we pick on that person because it's the hardest part of the entire record is the intro and the outro, the scripted bits.
Yes. Yeah.
So this one, you may notice, it was Crystal's episode. So, of course, before she got to the intro, what's the new term for it? I rizzed her about it? I don't know. I tried. But anyway, yeah, so that's just to show we try to script this as minimally as possible. Nothing is with an agenda to, have I suppose a hidden agenda. We do have an agenda, and it's just to kind of have a fun discussion about whatever said topic is.
Yeah, for sure. I think the idea that we have in our heads about it, and we've kind of talked about this internally, is that if it's interesting to us, that hopefully it's interesting to you. So when we have these cool speakers on talking about education and talking about security and AI and all of the things that we talk about, community and help desk and career development, it's because we are also interested in that, and we think that it'll be interesting to everyone else. And I think that that's just it makes it easy. It makes our job easier. It makes it
Yeah.
easier for us to be,
Yeah.
real people and not too scripted. Because yeah, I'm same. I'm very robotic when I'm scripted. Our production team could tell you. We've tried to record other things where it's like, "Here's a script, read it." No, don't do that to me.
I actually tried to use a teleprompter in our studio one time, and it was a disaster. Wasted a lot of time. I went through a lot of wipes to try and blot the oil off my scalp because for some reason that made me more nervous than making stuff up. But yeah, I know it's tricky there. And I'd say one of the other aspects that's difficult but can be really fun is when we ideate about topics. That being said, because we do this show for the audience, for, especially the SolarWinds customer base, we would love it if you shared ideas with us. Because if there's a cool topic we haven't thought of, we haven't covered yet, that also gives us inspiration to bring on guests,
Yeah.
right? We want to bring on guests that can help us dive into a specific topic. Some of our best episodes, some of my favorite episodes are where we just had a really noteworthy guest. Again, like Tim Brown, just bringing him in to discuss things like security. Or I could go on, bringing in professors to discuss video games. We're definitely going to have to talk about that. That was way
Yes.
too much fun.
I was just gonna bring that up because actually the reason we bringing it back around to what we were supposed to be talking about, our producers, the reason we had that
Oh, yeah.
opportunity is because one of our producers, Christy Clifford, saw the study and thought it was interesting and reached out to them, and they were interested in coming on the show to talk to us about it. And of course, we're interested because we're freaking nerds and we want to talk about video games at work because we can.
And so
Um,
Christy naturally thought of us. She was like, oh, they would eat this up.
Yes,
So,
which was true. I think that, they do a great job of you've mentioned a few times kind of your background changing and, our sound and maybe, like, moving to video and all of these things. They're the reason that we get to do all of that stuff, and they're the reason that we look half as good as we do.
yeah, it's not
And
pretty behind the scenes. I'm kidding.
the sound, why we sound as good as
I
we
like that. The
do.
sound.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is our production team, specifically Nick Butler and Christy Clifford at the moment, um, they remind me a lot of IT when I was in ops. If everything's going fine,
Yes.
sometimes you forget they're there. You forget to thank them. You forget whatever. Of course, I like to think that I never do, but it's just one of those things where there's so much magic happening behind the scenes that they take care of that you really only need to call on them when there's something wrong. Other than that, you just show up and do whatever it is. So it's just really cool to think about, like, an episode just pops out when you and I are just talking back and forth.
Yeah, for sure. Because 'cause we're really just having a good time, and they turn it into something that is usable and
Yeah,
digestible by someone
usable.
else. I think
Usable.
too, like, they're responsible for keeping us on task sometimes, and also, making sure we don't go over time, and, if we fumbled the intro or outro because they're scripted and we're bad at that, then to make sure we do it again until it sounds alright. And, just, like, making sure that it gets out there to people. So, like, I don't know that either of us would remember to publish our episodes if it weren't for them.
Oh, I'm so terrible at that. I think you and I were in a chat just this week when someone asked me a question about authoring
Yeah.
something, and I said, "I need an adult, please. Someone help me." I don't publish. I just show up. Yeah, lazy of me maybe, but I like to pretend that I have agents and I show up and I just do stuff. And that, and it's kind of true because I am that lazy, I suppose, or just distracted, or uh, it's mostly that I just love the team that we have. I don't have to worry about it 80, 90% of the time. And they just ask a question here and there about, what do I think? And yeah, they really take care of it. They make it work. So it's just
Yeah.
huge thank you to those
Yes.
to those
Huge
folks.
you. Without them, the show would not be what it is. I mean, would probably wouldn't be edited in any way, and you would hear me and Sean ramble more often than we should, or go
Yeah.
off on a silly tangent when we're poking fun at each other or something. Like those parts get kind of edited out.
Yeah. Um, I don't know if we'll have a chance to put it in, but there's some of the behind the scenes. I'll leave an episode and my cheeks hurt. We're just laughing and having the most fun.
Yeah.
So it really is an opportunity just to have a good time, talk about tech, and share it with you all. And I suppose another thing, and maybe this is again kind of towards the nod to what Lego did to start this, is I like that we have another opportunity for thought leadership and community-driven conversations, right? While SolarWinds is obviously a software sales company, it's great to have an offer for people out there in the community that says, we're all just tech people. We're all just tech people learning tech things, having tech problems, curious about tech. And it's great to just have this opportunity to rant, chat, learn about different things without any pressure of, is there a product involved? Is there?
Well, you brought up, community there, and I think it's important. You brought up earlier, like, if they have episode ideas that they think would be interesting to us. I do wanna point out that TechPod has a space on, the SolarWinds community platform, thwack.com, and I think it would be really great, like, if you guys have episode ideas, feel free to throw them into the comments over there. We'll check them and pull them in if they're interesting and we can get an interesting guest and have anything interesting to say, because if we don't, we probably won't talk about it, but if we have something interesting to say, I think that the community is also great. We've had some great guests from the community as well. Like our MVPs have made several appearances where we got to hear about all of their origin stories, which just goes to show how different we've talked about. Like every episode we have our guests introduce themselves and talk a little bit about their story, and some of them get more in the weeds, and, like, tell us more deeply about it, like our recent episode with a certain rock star or things like that, where they get a little bit more into their path because we ask them to, and sometimes they're a little bit higher gloss because we wanna get into the meat of the episode, but I think that it's really fun to know that we all have different ways of getting into technology, and because it's always changing and it's always different and you always have to learn something new, it makes for me, it, like, makes working in tech more approachable and more like, "Oh, okay, we talk about your, like, ADHD and stuff like that," our attention spans are so bad. You get something new and interesting comes something shiny comes along and we wanna go do
What?
something else. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that, those episodes where we dig into people's backgrounds and like learn how they got to where they are and why they're doing the things that they're doing just also go to show that A, you're definitely not alone in that, and B, working in the technology field is like so conducive to that type of personality of like, oh well, I saw something else that looked interesting, so you can just go do that. And like having those conversations here on TechPod has been really like interesting for proving that like whatever your path is, you might succeed, you might get to where you're trying to go. You might find a new path that was more interesting along the way. Something new might happen. Some person might influence you along the way that you were like, I never thought about getting into this field or this area. And then all of a sudden you're like knee deep in security and you never expected to be there.
I agree, and it makes me think about the different types of episodes we've had because while tech is like the center of it, tech could mean your journey into tech. It could mean education surrounding tech, tech education opportunities. So the backgrounds is especially fun. So Chris Greer, our rock star, had one of the coolest journeys into tech, then more specifically into security. Um, and it's really fun to kind of explore the different things that bring us around tech, right? Of course, that's what we're all about here on this the Tech Pod. But again, I'd be curious, like especially we're posting this episode on Thwack as well, right?
Yes.
So great opportunity if you're not on Thwack. If you are, obviously you may have found this one on Thwack, but if you're not, check out Thwack, find this episode, and comment. I'd love to hear about what your favorite kinds of episodes we've done, if we haven't done one yet. Again, the kind of technology you'd like for us to just discuss and learn more about and dive into.
Yeah.
And maybe even your favorite episode, right? Just it's fun to engage with the community, and we really do this, I would say, for you guys, but then I just realized I love doing it, so I do it for me too. But we do
It's not
love you
truly
guys.
altruistic.
We need you. We need you. It's not 100% altruistic. Okay, it's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I do it for the likes.
And I'll say, even if your favorite episode is one that neither Sean nor I were in, we also still want to hear about it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
But I think it would be really great. We've had some great topics covered over the years with guests in those various areas, and like some of the education concepts that we've talked about over the years have been really interesting. I did this was when I was a temporary host. I did one for supporting women in tech, and I had a whole conversation with these wonderful ladies that they work for a technology like education institute, and that's what they were doing. One of them had been through the program and like became a programmer afterwards, and the other one was a program in not an instructor, a coordinator. So somebody who like developed the program and like made sure that they're kept up to date. So like both sides of the educational process, and like that also like I have said it before, I'll say it again. I don't think a formalized college degree should be necessary. But there are many ways to get into different things, and that is a different type of education. It's not necessarily a college degree, but it's like a technical program that you can go through. There's boot camps and there's all these other things. And I think that every time I learn about a different way that someone's learning how to do something, I'm like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. I think that it is spreading the word, and there are many like areas of technology where there is a dearth of experience where those types of things could be helpful, and there's like a lot of options for people. And I like that we get to spread the word. I would just like to say that. I like that we get to spread the word here on TechPod. It's very fun.
Oh my dearth. I don't think you've said that on any episode before, but dearth, good one. And just to give you guys some insights, I told you we don't do scripts or anything, but we do have notes, right? We throw bullets down just so we can kind of understand. And I just brought up topics. She was just kind of riffing on topics as well in the notes, which this was Chrystal's episode, so she gave notes for it. Just to give you an idea of her favorite, because this is like 80% accurate in my mind. Top down, topics, education, 100% agree. That is her probably favorite topic. And she already went on this one, number 2, career development.
Yeah.
Right? 100, like she just went all over this. And if you couldn't tell by a lot of our recent episodes, security. maybe could move around from number 3, but she loves diving into it. She's admittedly said because it's part ignorance, part fascination, right?
Yeah.
So it goes in with her lust for learning more. And then AI, I don't think we can stop talking about it because it's so weird and the potential is so out there, and everyone's still kind of freaked out and curious and excited and terrified.
Well, it's still
So that's
changing
definitely
so
not going
much.
anywhere. Digital transformation, which rings really big for me because that was one of my favorite episodes that we did, was talking about digital transformation and cloud versus on-prem. That was a really fun episode. I also think that was just the two of us. So that was a really fun time for us to
Yeah.
just kind of go back and forth. And in community, which I think this is where I was saying 80% accurate because I think might go up in the list somewhere.
And what it was not I will say it was not ordered in any kind of,
It wasn't, but when you went to jot it
list.
down, top of mind stuff was top of mind, right? So this is where I'm saying it's just fun to kind of observe when we
Yeah.
throw out notes like this. We would love to, and these are great topics, right? What do you guys want to hear more about? Or is it shut up about AI already? You don't know enough. But we don't. I don't know who does. But that's why we get people like Doug Bennett to come talk to us.
Yeah.
So yeah, a ton of fun. I think one of the things you also noted, and you kind of mentioned that one of your favorite guests to listen to, maybe your favorite episode or one of, was Tim Brown.
Yeah.
I have to say, I think one of my favorite conversations we had was, again, was the two of us, was the grass is greener episode.
Yeah.
And that was where we talked about or maybe it was called we went through a few names. Was it the underdog? It was
Yeah.
moving from
Underdog versus Top
or
Dog, I think, is the one that
yeah,
it wound up being.
it was comparing a startup versus an established enterprise organization, right? Maybe the same role in both, or the fact that in a startup, the same role means you have 100 different hats. And
Yeah.
in an enterprise, you have your very specific lane you stay in, right? And that varies org to org. But that was such a really fun episode because it's very relatable. It's talking about what it's like to be in the environment, and what it's like to kind of experience the differences in organizations. So again, being in tech, there's just so much we can talk about. And that was one of my favorite episodes. And it kind of fits in a little bit of a couple of the topics.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be narrowed into those. But I just thought that was funny. And there goes another tangential riff. So yeah, have fun. Enjoy Chrystal Taylor and Sean Sebring. Tune in. You brought up the episode about where we spoke to Dr. Melik and Mustafa about MMO skill sets, right? Video game MMO skill sets and how they translate into career. And before the episode, you should have seen Chrystal and I geeking out before we talked to them, because we didn't have an opportunity, I don't think, to do a dry run, which a dry run is just kind of getting them on the camera, seeing what it's going to sound like, and kind of giving them the feel for how the episode should go. Again, no scripts or anything like that. But we didn't have one of those with them, I don't think. And so instead, as Chrystal and I prepare, we read the paper that they had put out, right? We read the study, and then Chrystal and I both have to acknowledge we're going to have to shut up. We're going to have to not go too far. We're going to have to keep it in and ask them questions and not just steamroll them. Well, oh yeah, this is how I think or I feel, or this is how I've done it, right? Let them be guests. And they were fantastic guests.
Yeah.
It was just how excited we were to interview them and just kind of see what they found when they did the study. And what a cool study it was too, by the way. That was such a neat one for us to get to go through.
Yeah, I hope we get to do more things like that because it came out of nowhere. I mean, Christy brought it to our attention.
Yeah, hats
Neither of
off.
us knew it had happened before that. And she was just like, hey, I saw this. And then she reached out and like made it all happen. And I think that that is one of the coolest things that we've gotten to do because it's not, I would say it's not like the normal thing that we do, because it is like a very specific, like they wrote a scientific paper, like a technical study. It's outside the realm of our normal technology guests and people that we talk to and topics that we talk to. And it was like an unusual thing that we got to do, but it was so cool. We do our best of being, or we try to do our best to be open-minded when we have guests on because they are experts in the field that we have brought them on to talk about. And B, because we don't know everything as much as we would love to. We don't know everything, and like that helps us to be open-minded and ask better questions, because we're also learning,
Always.
always
And I
learning.
mentioned imposter syndrome earlier. I was just looking back at our guest list, and to be on and interviewing someone with the title of Professor Dr. Sally Eves, that was an intimidating episode for me. That was earlier on when I was starting off on TechPod, and what an interesting opportunity to
Yeah.
be able to interview someone with such credentials, as someone who's honestly so inspirational, with such a powerful career, a very humble career, I would say at the same time, which is hard to do when you got such cool creds you can flex. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that was it's so cool. It's so cool the opportunity that this brings. And I suppose again, going back to, if you have ideas, if you know a guest, or like, man, I'd love to hear from this person, give us a shout.
Yeah, we'll try.
Jump in its whack, give us a shout. We'd love to reach out and see if we can make it happen. It'd be fun for us, and it'd be cool for you to listen.
We hope.
We
That's
hope.
it's always the goal.
Chris, you make it happen. All right, this is how production goes. They cast a spell, but not on my co-host role again, because I'm glad I have Chrystal here. Don't go anywhere for a while.
Yeah, there have been some really actually super cool, interesting guests over the years. Like even before either of us became permanent hosts, like there have been some really cool guests that I remember at the time, some of them like other people I know, at the time fellow hood geeks or that we're gonna get to interview, like the co-founder of Ethernet and like talk about the history of the creation of Ethernet and like what it's turned into these days. And it's just like that's just so cool. It's such a cool
Yeah.
opportunity, like, to get to learn about something like that, and then, you get these people on here, and they really are, like, tech celebrities, I guess, in some ways, like, they've done some amazing, really cool stuff. They're really, like, out in the world talking about advocating for things, and then you get to talk to them, and you mentioned imposter syndrome, and I feel the same way, where it's just like, "What have I done? I haven't invented anything cool. I haven't, been out there advocating and speaking for anything, I mean, besides SolarWinds, but that's what I do. But like, this it's really interesting to get to talk to these people who are doing these cool things. We've had guests on that started some like amazing youth programs and they come on there and talk about the cool community projects, like less tech community and more like physical, like the community where they live
Mhm.
in and helping the youth and helping other people and like all of these things. And I'm just like, what am I doing? I haven't done anything. I don't have any rights to talk to them about these things. I think that those have been really cool too, is like just learning about programs that exist in the world that maybe you didn't ever know about. I mean, I didn't know there were we just recorded an episode yesterday where I learned about community groups for security community groups for DEF CON, which DEF CON I knew was a conference, but I didn't know that they had regular local community groups that it's just like anybody can go to and like learn about security. I didn't know that existed. Learned about it yesterday, and I live in a big enough city, like, we have one, so, like, you know, I like that we can continue to learn about cool stuff that's just out there and people should be taking advantage of if they wanna learn.
Well, I think one of the ones that came up with it was, we were talking about frameworks and AI, and community was one of the biggest parts. Like, we had at least one episode before ChatGPT and Gen AI really took off, because obviously in the last few years the world has changed drastically.
Yeah.
But how an open AI community was really one of the biggest things, because there's no foundational like accreditations or guidelines on how to do this stuff. We're making it up as we go along, and we're actually making it up at a pace that's never been done before. So communities are just so important to me, because I'm hoping, I haven't heard from a while. I think maybe we could actually do for another AI episode, um, and just talk about like communities. How do you share your knowledge? What are your tools? Because it's, with things like reels, right? Scrolling and swiping, and AI's ability to make up information, to be honest. Like, we see a lot of fake stuff, and it can sound so convincing. I've actually mentioned this on an episode that'll come out afterwards, but we recorded it before. My voice was translated into Arabic for a partner enablement recording I did, and it was so weird. It was me speaking Arabic. And I
Yeah.
can't even put that on my resume, but it was so cool. And, I'd just love to know more about, the communities that surround these kinds of technologies. And you guys are part of our community. So
Yeah.
share with us. If you haven't got
Yeah.
the vibe, I'm going to say that throughout the episode.
Yeah.
But
Share
want
with
to hear from
us.
you guys.
We'd love to. Love to talk more about it. We're always in the Thwack community hanging out. That's the SolarWinds community. It's totally free. You don't have to be a SolarWinds customer even to do it. If you listen to TechPod and you're not a SolarWinds customer, but you enjoy what we're talking about, I'd love to know that too, because that would be really interesting. But also it would help us know that our topics are useful to other people as well. So, please let us know. I think that it's been a fun time doing this, and I hope that we get to continue doing it for interminably, it's until we're not here anymore, I guess,
Yeah. Yeah.
till we
And
retire.
and these kind of episodes are fun to me too, because we're talking about tech episodes, but we're not talking about tech.
Yeah.
Um,
It's hard though.
if you
You know
really,
how much I've been sitting here like, "Oh, I wanted to say something about that tech that you just talked about,
yeah,
and I'm not gonna do it."
oh, I know. Um, and this is an example of where we can really be nerdy about random technology. Is our episodes around the holiday season, when we just to give you guys some examples. Again, if you're a new listener or an existing listener, some of the best episodes can be about made up tech.
Yeah.
Right, tech that's not out there yet, or weird tech that's out there that we've talked about around holiday wish list seasons and things like that. So like it can be anything and everything tech related, but it could be a fun episode, theoretical episode, and honestly, it's just fun. We really hope you guys enjoy this stuff, and if you've got ideas, share it with us. But such a pleasure, and happy to celebrate a 100th episode with you, Chrystal Taylor.
Thank you. Yes, it is great to celebrate 100 episodes of TechPod.
But yeah, it's just reminiscent to go through this stuff, and we've got so much more to come. Believe it or not, coming soon is security, and some more security in some episodes, along with some IT trends will be coming at the beginning of the new year approaching. We'll have more silly episodes, most likely joined by Andy Garbe, to talk about some weird, funky tech of some kind in some form or fashion. And yeah, we just have a lot of fun topics coming up. So we really hope you guys stick around with us and enjoy the content that's coming.
Yeah, definitely. And I mentioned a few times our space over on Thwack. There'll be a post for you if you do have anything you wanted to share with us, ideas for episodes, or potentially if you have someone that you would like to hear on TechPod, if we can get in contact with them, we'll try if we have an episode there. But if you have suggestions, I'll leave a suggestion post over in the TechPod space on Thwack. You can comment there, or feel free to comment on our YouTube videos as well. Those are also available for comment, or any TechPod episode within the Thwack space also has comments turned on. So we will see those. I do see those. So we'll make sure we're on the lookout for if anyone has any suggestions for us. If you've been a guest on TechPod, I would like to say thank you once again for being a guest. We really genuinely enjoyed you sharing your expertise. Any future guests, I will say thank you in advance because we like hearing from you. Thank you to our production team, and of course, thank you to our listeners. We hope that you continue to listen in and learn with us as we are constantly exploring new aspects of technology. So continue to join us here on TechPod every month, and we will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in.